Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Alex Brasky, here for the Batavia Daily News Sports Network, ready to take you through the action between Livonia and Dansville. Tonight's Section 5 boys basketball matchup getting started in just a few moments. I'll be joined by Mia Laughlin, who will be working the scoreboard here tonight, along with Coach Dan Dickens, who will be joining me on the call of this one, a rematch within the Livingston Conference. A game previously won by Livonia at Livonia's home court. They were down by double digits, only to storm back and steal a win from the Mustangs. We'll see if the Mustangs can hold court here on their home floor this evening. Before we get too deep into tonight's broadcast, we'd like to first thank our sponsors. Beginning with Vonglis Enterprises, LLC. Vonglis Enterprises is a fully insured company that offers free estimates for every job. At Vonglis, they specialize in septic system installation and repairs, along with waterline installation. Check them out on Facebook or call them at 585-471-4240. Also, Competitive Edge. Spring basketball training registration is now open. CEB training sessions begin Wednesday, March 8th at Mount Morris Central School. Register online at competitiveedgebasketball.org, or you can contact Josh Harder at 585-233-4004 for any questions you may have. Also, Jessica Best, licensed real estate salesperson at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Offering a positive attitude and a professional realtor experience. Don't let her smile fool you. She is a force to be reckoned with. Your best friend in real estate. Contact Jessica Best today. Also, Bubba's Landscape in Leroy. Do you need landscaping services for your home or business? Count on Bubba's Landscape here in Leroy, New York. Bubba's offers residential and commercial landscapes throughout Western New York. Whether you need your driveway shoveled or new flower beds for your front lawn, you can count on Bubba's superior attention to detail, timely completion, and competitive rates for any type of landscaping work you need. Get an estimate today. Call 585-768-6578 to schedule landscaping and lawn maintenance for your home or business. Also, R.A. Heights Company Incorporated is owned by Richard Wendt and is a family business established in 1945. At R.A. Heights, they specialize in residential and commercial roofing, metal roofing, gutters, siding, windows, copperwork, and sheet metal fabrication. Also, Noise Health Urgent Care Center in Geneseo. Sometimes unexpected illness or injuries can occur that require immediate care. It's times like these that you can turn to UR Medicine Noise Health Urgent Care Center in Geneseo. Urgent Care Center Geneseo is located in the Noise Health Services Building on 50 East South Street. Walk-ins are welcome every day from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., and there are x-ray and lab services on site. For more information, visit noise.urmc.edu. Please remain off the playing surface at all times and use the inline. Also, Genesee Community College. Genesee, your path. GCC offers 60-plus affordable academic programs and over 120 scholarships for you to begin your next journey. Apply for free at genesee.edu/apply or call 866-CALL-GCC today. Also, Empire Tractor, your local New Holland dealer selling a full range of tractors and farm equipment. Empire Tractor is also proud to sell Dixie Chopper zero-turn mowers, which is the world's fastest mower, and they are now selling and servicing the Coyote line of tractors, mowers, and utility vehicles. Check out their website, empiretractor.com, or visit in person right in front of the Genesee County Fairgrounds. All right, getting set for action here on the Batavia Daily News Sports Network. Getting set for the introductions here at Dansville High School, the Mustangs Corral as they call it. Dansville's brought its fan base out tonight, its student section, to support its team in this rematch within the Livingston Conference. As we discuss what took place in the previous matchup between these two teams.
Number 12.
As I said before, we had Dansville mounting a sizable lead going into the second half, but Livonia outscoring Dansville by quite a bit throughout the final two quarters to storm back and seize an 8-point victory. Connor Feehan was big in that game for Livonia, but even bigger was Chris Coyle, 30 points, a game high. Feehan, 20 points for the Bulldogs, while for the Mustangs, like I said, built that sizable lead largely behind the contributions of Colin Gray and Tyler Harris. Gray had 24 points, Harris 21 in that loss. We'll see if they can produce similar offensive output here tonight. But before we hit tip-off, we'd like to gain some perspective from former Calmon head varsity basketball coach Dan Dickens, who will give his perspective and what he believes will take place in this, what should be a highly contested Livingston Conference matchup.
Ethan Canfield. And the rest of the Mustangs. They are coached by head coach Dave Mooney, assisted by Coach Brandon Morrow and Coach Mike Titus. The officials for tonight. All
right, we're looking at a rematch here, Alex, of a couple weeks ago where Livonia scored 52 points on Dansville in the second half. Now, looking at points Dansville's given up this year, they've only given up 52 points, I believe, 3 times. So, obviously, it wasn't their best defensive performance in the second half. Livonia shot lights out. I think we're going to see a real tough-nosed defensive effort from Dansville tonight, and Livonia's going to have to continue to try to share the ball around. Talked with Coach Young this morning a little bit, and he says they're at their best when they get all 5 guys touching the ball. So we should have a pretty good game here tonight in Dansville.
All right, and we are underway between these two Livingston Conference foes. As you see Dansville come away with the opening possession. Good ball movement, working it inside to Colin Gray. The fadeaway from the block, no good. Flying in for the rebound was Dawson Wadsworth, but he went down for the travel.
Good crash by Wadsworth. You're going to see him very active out front. Him and Tyler Harris, very active guards up on top here. You see them early trying to get some tips, and they got one there. They just didn't come up with it.
Yeah, Harris, 21 points for Dansville in that loss to Livonia earlier this season. He was hot from the perimeter in that game. We saw Dansville take on Avon just a few days ago on the Batavia Daily News Sports Network. Harris did not have the hot hand in that game, so he'll look to regain the stroke. As finding the stroke early for the Bulldogs is Jackson Cook, a junior, breaking the seal with 6:58 remaining here in the first quarter.
Yeah, Coach Young talked about getting him going, getting him some confidence. He's one of those guys that really, if he's scoring, he gives him a little bit more of some upside offensively.
Colin Gray to the basket. Nice drive and finish from the Dansville forward. He was a significant factor for Dansville in the previous loss to Livonia, and came along down the stretch in the loss to Avon just a few days ago, but didn't start as hot as you would like. We'll see if Gray can get off to a better start here tonight.
Yeah, Gray's a solid player inside and outside. That's who Danville's going to look to run him through. Cardinal sin here following a three-point shooter early in the game, especially. It's going to slow Harris down. Probably not. I've seen him play. He's very aggressive out there. But he's going to have to be a little smarter because they're going to need him on the floor. You see how active Dansville is? Defensively, they move really well. They talk. It's a good job by them. It's going to be tough for Livonia. Actually, if Livonia keeps doing what they're doing and have patience and working out their way up, they're going to have a little easier time here. Dansville might have to try something different.
So Feehan, 3 for 3, from the line. 5-2 is your score in the early going. Minute and a half gone here in the first quarter. Mustangs look to settle in. Reed Martin to the high post to Gray. Tried to get it into the corner for Harris, but it was picked off by Feehan. Here come the Bulldogs going quickly. Feehan, spot up three, no good. Batted around, and there's Cook for the rebound. Now into the hands of Nick Coyle up top. Back to Cook, no good. And Canfield secures the board for Dansville.
A typical Livonia team here, a lot of length. You saw them keep that one alive, out jumping them with those long arms, keeping it going. I think they'll see them be a little bit more patient there instead of settling for that three, but it's early, trying to maybe see if they're hot this morning. Maybe they had good warm-ups.
Canfield inside with the finish from Gray. And if Canfield can find the range inside and gain some space and work his way into the scoring column, that's going to be a significant boost for Dansville. You saw it against Avon. Dansville was down big in that game. They made a charge back, and one of the keys in their charge back was the efforts of Canfield on both ends of the floor, scoring, rebounding, and defending.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Moody had a lot of good things to say about Canfield, especially as of late. He's a first-year player. A lot of these guys, these three-year players with Gray, Wadsworth, and Harris. So Canfield, everything they're getting from him has been huge.
Inside, Martin kept it alive. And he'll head to the line for two shots. So a good effort from Reed Martin to keep the ball alive, and the official calling his effort a shot as he went to tip it from underneath, and now he'll have two shots for it and knock down the first and tie the game at 5 with 5:03 remaining in the first.
That's a correct call. A tap is a try in high school basketball, so it's Martin's effort getting rewarded here with 2 free throws.
Martin misses the second, and Jack Kearney comes up with a rebound underneath for Livonia. Kearney, one of the toughest athletes you'll find at any level. On the football field, the basketball court, wherever, he can get it done, and get it done with great tenacity. As the Bulldogs come up empty on that possession, Wadsworth comes away with the rebound for Dansville. Harris up top, guarded closely by Feehan. Feehan paying very close attention to the Mustangs sharpshooter. Inside to Canfield, and he's fouled from behind by Cook.
Dansville's got some great spacing down here, really stretching Livonia out wide. That little high screen and curl, I mean, just how hard these guys are going on their curls make it really tough on the defense. You don't see that from a lot of teams, but that's the reason Dansville has a good record the last few years especially.
Harris from the corner knocks down the three. That's what Dansville needs to get going. They take the lead, 8-5, 4:15 remaining in the first. And that's what you saw from Harris last time against these Bulldogs. Perimeter shooting.
Yeah, him and Wadsworth both are sharpshooters out there.
And Livonia responds as Coyle finishes inside. Martin along the baseline. Kearney a little bit over aggressive on the defense, blocks him out of bounds. But the Mustangs will maintain possession here. Coming to the table for Livonia for the first time tonight, Tommy Stewart, giving Kearney a break, who now has 2 fouls. Give you a quick rundown of what the Bulldogs have experienced this season. It's really been an up and down year. 8-10 coming into this game. They haven't won more than 3 games in a row, and that was in mid-December. They're 1-3 over their last 4. As a nice look inside increases Dansville's lead. Dansville coming off a loss to Hornell. Before that, they had defeated Wayland Cohocton on February 1st. So as I said, it's been up and down for Livonia this season, but trying to find their way with the sectional tournament coming up.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of these things here. I mean, you take a look at Livonia's schedule, like that is a brutal schedule. They schedule non-league tough. You know, their record might not, look that impressive, but I mean, you take a look. You don't see many people playing Canandaigua twice, Batavia. I mean, Marcus Whitman twice. Like, they're playing a tough non-league schedule, and they hope that builds for a strong run here in sectionals. They are in a brutal bracket as well, though.
Fian 1 for 2 from the line, cuts the deficit down to 2. Approaching the 3-minute mark here in the first quarter. I'll give you a look at what Dansville has gone through this season. As Canfield finishes inside, a strong start for Ethan Canfield, and Dansville puts the pressure on. Nice press break from the Bulldogs, but Coyle threw it away, trying to get it to Stewart. Dansville comes into this game at 11-6, had a 3-game winning streak going before a loss to Avon that you saw on the Batavia Daily News Sports Network on February 3rd, as Cook rejects Wadsworth in the lane, and the loose ball ends up in the hands of Gray, so the Mustangs will keep it. But the Mustangs starting to find their way down the stretch before that tough defeat at the hands of Avon, and trying to regain steam here tonight, and so far so good, but Canfield can't get that one to go, and it winds up in the hands of Cook.
Yeah, good slip, man. Dansville's getting good looks here. You know, you go back at Dansville's schedule, I mean, they've lost 3 games by 1 point. 2 other games by 5. Really, the only game they've been blown out is Avon, and they did a pretty good job. They held a good Avon team to 55 points. I mean, Dansville hangs their hat on their defense, and as you're seeing here too, they got guys that can score. Ooh.
Cook off glass, no good. Stewart on the rebound. Canfield, 2 rejections inside. What a start for the Mustangs forward, asserting himself on both ends. And the nice look ahead from Wadsworth finds Martin in transition, and Dansville has it going, forces Livonia to take a timeout. And let us thank our sponsors here on the Batavia Daily News Sports Network, beginning with Vonglis Enterprises, LLC.
Thank you for your cooperation. More music is coming up here on Game Time.
Vonglis Enterprises, LLC is a fully insured company that offers free estimates for every job. At Vonglis, they specialize in septic system installation and repairs along with waterline installation. Check them out on Facebook or call them at 585-471-4240.
So you see Martin run the floor on that last play. I've watched him sprint. This is about as big of a court as you're going to see in Section 5. I mean, and he hasn't stopped running from baseline to baseline. And Harris causes that turnover, too, from just sprinting about 20 feet. These guys are in tremendous shape.
Harris tips it off of Fian, out of bounds. Dansville will regain possession here with 1.5 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Here's Harris getting it to Gray. Canfield into the corner for Martin. Tried to find Gray cutting down the lane, but nice job by Livonia closing it off and creating the takeaway. Nick Coyle in transition, laying it in at the rim. Nice defensive possession there for the Bulldogs. Able to close off what Dansville was trying to do, create the takeaway and finish in transition.
Good strong finish there by Coyle. I know he's more known for his outside shooting, but it's a strong take with Wadsworth right behind him.
Speak of the devil, Wadsworth knocks down the 3, and it's up to a 7-point Dansville lead. And as impressive as Chris Coyle was in Livonia's comeback win over Dansville previously, Nick Coyle really keyed the comeback down the stretch, hit a couple of big shots, and came up with some solid defensive possessions as well. As a nice pump fake underneath from Tommy Stewart draws Martin off of his feet, and that will send Stewart to the line for 2 shots with 32.2 remaining in the first quarter. Sub getting set to come on for Dansville, Nate Gardner will check in for the first time tonight.
Stewart's came in and got I think that's his 3rd offensive rebound, so he's working hard in there, getting some good quality minutes out of him.
Harris will take a break for Dansville. Stewart around the rim and in, trims Livonia's deficit. 30 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. The shot clock is off. We'll see if Dansville holds for the last shot. The possession begins with the ball in the hands of Gardner. Canfield working for position inside with Coyle on his back. but instead they go to Gray at the high post, and he's unable to convert on the 15-footer. 10 seconds remaining now in the first. Livonia will have one last crack at it. Fian trying to come off the screen. Coyle forced to launch it himself. Gray comes up with the rebound, and that's going to do it for this first quarter of action. Dansville holding a 5-point lead. I'd like to continue thanking our sponsors here. Competitive Edge spring basketball training registration is now open. CEB training sessions begin Wednesday, March 8th at Mount Morris Central School. Register at competitiveedgebasketball.org. Any questions, please contact Josh Harder at 233-4004. Also, Jessica Best, a licensed real estate salesperson with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, offering a positive attitude and a professional realtor experience. Don't let her smile fool you. She is a force to be reckoned with. Your best friend in real estate, contact Jessica Best today. Also, Bubba's Landscape. Do you need landscaping services for your home or business? Count on Bubba's Landscape in Leroy, New York. Working on residential and commercial landscapes throughout Western New York, whether you need your driveway shoveled or new flower beds for your front lawn. You can count on Bubba's superior attention to detail, timely completion, and competitive rates for any type of landscaping work you need. So we'll get our scoreboard reset here. Big thanks to Mia doing a great job on the scoreboard as usual, as myself and Coach Dickens take you through tonight's action. Nick Coyle tried one inside, had it rejected by Canfield. Here comes Dansville on the charge, already leading by 5.
Good job of settling there. Dansville runs some really good sets. A lot of screen-the-screener action. That's why you see these guys, after they set the screen, they come open because there's a lot of help here. Good switch.
Great turnaround jumper, no good. Chris Coyle on the rebound. Fian tries the 3, no good. Came up short. Canfield collects the board. Wadsworth tried to bounce it inside to Fian, but it was taken away by Cook. Here comes Livonia now.
You're going to see Livonia a lot more patient. I mean, they'll take transition when they have the opportunity, but they're looking to come down and run a good offense as well.
Fian, 3-ball from the wing, again came up short. Nice defense applied by Gardner. Wadsworth in transition, coast to coast. Tried to go through Cook. Not a wise proposition there, as Fian on the other end can't get it to go. Stepped out of bounds. We'll go back to Dansville. Quite the size disparity there between Wadsworth and the forward inside, but Wadsworth showing no fear as he has all season long.
No, you need guards like that too. Guards aren't afraid to mix it up. I mean, you know, when you get into the sectionals, you know, the refs aren't bailing you out of anything. Like, you got to be physically and mentally tough, and none of this stuff can bother you. And that's him too. That's also a great mentality to have for a shooter like him. So, you know.
Yeah, you've seen him all season long, leading emotionally and with his play on the court. Gray for 3 from the corner. Dansville has it working. They regain an 8-point advantage, 6:10 remaining in the second quarter.
Yeah, it's one of those things with Gray. You see him most of the time attacking the basket. He really shoots it well. And we played him our first game of the year last year. And he had 3 threes against us. We weren't really expecting that. It's a great defensive play by him as well.
Wadsworth pushes it ahead to Gardner. He's fouled on the block. So 2 shots coming up for Gardner here. We'd also like to thank R.A. Heights Company Incorporated, owned by Richard Wendt, a family business established in 1945 at R.A. Heights. They specialize in residential and commercial roofing, metal roofing, gutter siding, windows, copperwork, and sheet metal fabrication. So Gardner, 1 for 2. It's up to a 9-point lead for Dansville now as Cook takes a break. And we see Livonia's Lucas Ray for the first time tonight. Stewart, nice feed inside to a cutting Coyle. who finishes above the rim. Nice awareness there from both players.
Yeah, they had good space on it. I like to see Coyle get to the hoop a little bit more on some of those cuts. I think they got to get him going to the basket. A little bit too relying on the perimeter game so far with their offense.
Speaking of the perimeter game, Gray has his game going, and Dansville cannot be stopped in the early going. They take a 10-point lead. But Mustangs fans are weary of this sizable advantage in the first half. This is what you saw from Dansville last time around. They were able to take the early advantage over Livonia, but Livonia came storming back with that 52-point second half, as you mentioned earlier, and stole the victory by, I believe, 8 points.
Yeah, I think, you know, that's obviously Coach Moody talked about that this whole week, probably a practice leading up to it, at least the last couple days. So none of these kids forget those things either, though. So I'm sure they're hungry for the rematch.
And I'm sure after this 4:47 goes by in the second quarter, he'll be reminding his team at halftime that you can't take any lead for granted in the Livingston Conference in Section 5 or in high school basketball in general. A 10-point lead can quickly turn into a deficit, as we've seen time and again.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to get complacent, especially getting towards the end of the year. You want to be playing your best basketball going into sectionals.
Gray for three, a little bit of a heat check there off the inbound play, no good. Stewart doing a nice job on the boards for Livonia in the early going as Nick Coyle pushes it ahead to Chris Coyle. Canfield doing a nice job inside in the paint, rebounding in his own right.
I'd like to see Livonia challenge these guys a little bit more off the dribble. They're very aggressive there. They're a little tight. I think they might be able to get a step on them, but you make it easy on them if you're not hitting jumpers and you're settling for them.
There's Reese Dixon onto the floor for Dansville the first time tonight. He had a strong game against Avon, really keyed Dansville's comeback in that game. You look at the final score, and Dansville fell by 14 points, but they had a 17-point deficit, trimmed all the way down to 3 down the stretch in that game. And a big reason for it was the work off the bench from several contributors, and Reese Dixon was one of them. You see him doing a little bit of face guarding on one of Livonia's top scorers in Chris Coyle. That's what you saw from him against Avon. Great effort on both ends, rebounding ability, athleticism, and he also knocked down a few shots.
Yeah, Coach Moody talked about his athleticism and what he brings. You need guys like that coming off the bench. I mean, you're going to have some foul trouble at some point. So, I mean, you can see him. He's guarding their best players, but they're going to get him there.
And conversely, maybe not quite conversely, but on the other end, for Livonia, Tommy Stewart brings that presence inside. Great athleticism, a great motor on the boards. You've seen him collect, I believe, 3 or 4 rebounds already. And he shows great awareness getting defenders off their feet and finding himself at the free throw line.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's somebody picked up their second there. Kearney had his second early, so you got to get extended minutes sometimes from your 6th and 7th man. You know, like I said, I mean, you get on these bigger courts and sectionals and the semis and then the finals at the Blue Cross. It's tough to play the whole time.
All right, we'll thank a few more of our sponsors as we have a chance here on the Batavia Daily News Sports Network, beginning with UR Medicine, Noise Health Urgent Care Center in Geneseo. Sometimes unexpected illness or injuries can occur that require immediate care. It's times like these that you can turn to UR Medicine, Noise Health Urgent Care Center in Geneseo. Urgent Care Center Geneseo is located in the Noise Health Services Building on 50 East South Street. Walk-ins are welcome every day from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. Also, Genesee Community College. Genesee, your path. GCC offers 60-plus affordable academic programs and over 120 scholarships for you to begin your next journey. Apply for free at genesee.edu/apply or call 866-CALL-GCC today. Also, Empire Tractor, your local New Holland dealer, selling a full range of tractors and farm equipment. Empire Tractor is also proud to sell Dixie Chopper zero-turn mowers, which is the world's fastest mower. All right, so the final 3:40 of this second quarter. Want to make sure we get those sponsors in. Big thank you to those sponsors for contributing all season long on the Batavia Daily News Sports Network. We couldn't bring you as many live streams as we do without them, and we'd ask you to thank them by providing your patronage when you are provided the chance to do so. So Harris out of bounds underneath, out of the timeout for Dansville. They hold a 9-point lead over visiting Livonia. Canfield can't get the finish inside, and once again working hard on the boards for Livonia and creating the foul. Canfield's second of this first half is Tommy Stewart.
Yeah, good job being active there. Canfield's kept a bunch alive. He's probably got 4 offensive boards. Got a little bit of undiscipline there going over and hit him in the head, so that's going to get called every time. I think they got the wrong guy coming out. They got to get their 5. Ooh, geez.
Yeah, I think Canfield wasn't aware that the sub was for him initially, but with those 2 fouls and time winding down in the second quarter, Coach Dave Moody for Dansville certainly doesn't want one of his key forwards to pick up his 3rd foul. And on the other side, Coach Matt Young for Livonia also dealing with a bit of foul trouble with Jack Kearney, who's been on the bench for an extended period of time in this first half. Count the basket. Chris Coyle finishing through the contact. Dixon doing his best to slow him down, but Coyle wins the battle there. 3-point play opportunity coming up.
Good patience by Livonia there. A little high screen curl, caught him trailing. I think that's going to be Harris's second as well for Dansville.
Stewart almost kept that alive for Livonia, but it ends up into the hands of Harris, who will remain in the game with 2:44 and those 2 fouls. Is there a difference leaving in a guard as opposed to a forward? Is it easier for a guard to stay out of foul trouble?
Yeah, I mean, he's a 3-year varsity guy for him, so it's a lot different. They're not in the mix as often. He's not going to get as aggressive, although.
Nice feed from Wadsworth to Martin inside, and a timeout called by Moody.
So just to finish that, Harris is a very aggressive defender. He has been the last few years, so I think the timeout might just be to tell him, hey, more token pressure. Don't get yourself in a spot where you're going to have 3. And then you got to play the whole third quarter cautious because you don't want to get your 4th. So, yeah, there's less action out there. If you trust the kid, that's a lot easier. I mean, I think with the big guys, though, it's just with the rebounding and stuff, you get caught out of position sometimes. So, good timeout here by Moody. You lose it if you don't use it in the first half. So,
yeah, a lot of incidental contact in the post as opposed to on the perimeter. You can really allow yourself to stay out of foul trouble a bit better being a guard, but also the experience factor plays into it as well. And you mentioned earlier Canfield, although he plays like a multi-year starter, he is a first-year varsity player, so there is that experience factor as well.
Yeah, it's the second time I've watched him play this year, and he is impressive.
An errant pass there from Coyle winds up into the hands of Gardner. And here comes Dansville over the final 2 minutes trying to maintain or perhaps build upon its 9-point advantage. Harris just off the mark, but Gardner doing a nice job in the offensive boards. And another player who's come off the bench and done a nice job in a short spurt, Gardner. And Dansville's bench players, they all display great energy. And if you're going to be on the court for Coach Moody, that's one thing that is a given. You have to display great energy on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, you see it. Your team doesn't average giving up like 40, 45, 46 points without effort and energy.
Wadsworth to the basket. No good, but he'll head to the line for 2 shots. 1:28 remaining here in the second quarter.
Does a good job of using his body and those long arms to take advantage with those 2 steps. I mean, he picked it up out by the LCAA and was able to get to the hoop and draw the foul, so. Again, a 3-year varsity player, pretty smart, pretty savvy, good job of drawing the contact.
Wadsworth, one of the senior captains on this team, emotional leader, and as I said, leads by example with his play as he knocks down the free throw to increase Dansville's lead to 10 to match their largest advantage of this second quarter.
Dansville going to go to man here. They started the game in zone, but mostly man here in the second half. Livonia likes to run a lot of ISO play. Coach Young yelled this out. Going back to the old Tom Downey days, going to try to get Coyle down low, which I like trying to do. Yeah.
Coyle goes crashing to the floor, no call, as he was defended by Martin. Ball goes out of bounds off the Bulldogs. It will go back to the Mustangs. And I'm not one to read body language too often, but judging by Coach Young's body language, he has not been impressed with his team's effort here in the first half. 17 points. They've allowed 27, and a few errant turnovers like that have led to a sizable deficit here.
Yeah, I think, especially like I've said a couple times now, late in the season, you want to be playing your best basketball. And they're playing a tough team, a hungry team that they beat last time. So you know you're going to get Dansville's best effort tonight.
Fian can't get that one to go in the lane. He's been quiet tonight, as have all of Livonia's scorers. 20 seconds remaining. Dansville seeing if they can hold for the last shot with the shot clock off. Wadsworth takes a look at the scoreboard, seeing that there's 15 seconds remaining. Most teams like to go inside 10. And that's what Dansville tried to do, but Wadsworth threw it away. Coyle in transition, and Wadsworth commits a questionable foul, which will send Coyle to the line with 1.4 left on the clock, a chance at a 1-and-1. And Harris coming out to perhaps avoid a situation, as you just saw from Wadsworth picking up a questionable foul there. Zayden Van Derm Blackman onto the floor for the Mustangs, and Coyle at the line for 1-and-1 and knocks down the first.
Get this to 8. It's been a pretty sloppy half from Livonia offensively. So, under 10, like we said, we saw what they did the first time these two teams played, and I'm sure Coach Young will talk about that at halftime as well.
And 2 free throws for Coyle, and the clock never started, but that's going to do it for this first half of action. And as you just mentioned, Coach Young may not be inspired with his team's effort, but certainly can't be all that disappointed looking at the score on the scoreboard. They did not get their best effort offensively, but they hung in there defensively, and they hold just that 8-point deficit entering the halftime break.
Yeah, I think right now you go in and you just say, hey, we're down 8. We didn't play great. We turn it up, give a little bit better effort. Defensively, I think they got to do a better job defensively rebounding as well. Like Canfield owned them on the boards early there. Like that's got to be a big point here in the locker room also. And again, 19 points and a half is not going to cut it here. I'd like to see them get to the hoop more, try to cut this to a couple possession game before they start relying on the outside shooting, but they are going to have to knock some jumpers down as well.
We'll be back in a few moments. Alex Brasky and Coach Dan Dickens, joined by Mia Laughlin, with you on the Batavia Daily News Sports Network. It's an 8-point Dansville lead, 16 minutes remaining to decide the winner in this Livingston Conference matchup. All right, and we are back here on the Batavia Daily News Sports Network. Alex Brasky, Coach Dan Dickens, and Mia Laughlin with you. It's an 8-point lead for the host Mustangs over the visiting Livonia Bulldogs. This is a rematch within the Livingston Conference. Dansville held a sizable lead in the first half against Livonia the first time around, only for the Bulldogs to storm back and seize the win. So we'll see what happens here tonight. All right, we'd like to thank Competitive Edge Spring Basketball Training. Registration is now open. CEB training sessions begin Wednesday, March 8th at Mount Morris. Register online at competitiveedgebasketball.org. Also, Jessica Best, licensed real estate salesperson at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Also, Bubba's Landscape in Leroy. Get an estimate today, 768-6578, to schedule landscaping and lawn maintenance for your home or business. Also, R.A. Heights Company Incorporated, owned by Richard Wendt, a family business established in 1945. Also, Urgent Care Center in Geneseo, that's Noise Health Urgent Care Center, open every day from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. Also, Genesee Community College. Genesee, your path. GCC offers 60-plus affordable academic programs and over 120 scholarships for you to begin your next journey. So here we go, the start of the third quarter. Dansville holds an 8-point lead over Livonia. That one knocked away by the Bulldogs, but it will stay with the Mustangs.
Yeah, Dansville coming out with a nice set there out of the halftime, a little double screen, fake, come back, a little stagger. Good read by Livonia on that. When you play as often as these teams play, you usually know everybody's plays. We used to play York so often, we'd put in like 2 new plays a week, or every time we played them, but sometimes you're only getting a day to put stuff in, and these kids can't always remember everything. Job by Canfield there, and Martin keeping it alive. Oh. Another effort play by Canfield.
He's really been critical for the Mustangs here tonight. A first-year varsity player. I said it before, I'll say it again. He plays like he's played at the varsity level for 3-4 years now.
Yeah, he's got a great build there. Like, if he probably hit the weight, I would assume the weight room and stuff. There's another great play by him.
That gets Wadsworth a 3, but he can't knock it down. The Mustangs won't be denied. They have another extra possession as Gray collects the offensive rebound, and Canfield diving on the floor to tip it out to Wadsworth. Just the effort displayed by this team. And a questionable 5-second call there called against Wadsworth.
So they switched defenders on that. And I think Coach Moody doesn't realize that when you switch defenders, the count still continues to go. It doesn't need to be the same defender guarding for the 5 seconds.
Now, how stationary do you have to be on that call?
You just have to be within 6 feet. So when the guy's dribbling, you have 5 seconds as long as he's within 6 feet. Then when they pick it up, you got another 5 seconds.
So even if you're dribbling around the entire perimeter.
Oh, you've got to be attacking the hoop. You got to be attacking the hoop to get the count to stop.
So obviously you can't just be loitering like Wadsworth was from the top of the key to the wing. You actually have to be making an advance toward the basket.
Yeah, that's correct. You have to be attacking the hoop, or at least going towards the direction of the hoop.
And what hustle displayed by Dansville continuously here in the second half. And you can imagine, we talked about it in that first half. Coach Moody, you can imagine, said to them at halftime, we're not letting this one go.
No, they're not. And I mean, talk about a leading by example there. Gray, their 3-year varsity starter for that. He didn't start his sophomore year, but, and your captain diving for a loose ball and making that play, it makes everybody want to play like that.
Nick Coyle for three, no good. Inside, Cook on the rebound, but Harris knocked it out of his hands. Now, if you're Dansville, how much do you have to weigh the fine line between too much emotion and just enough? You've seen the emotion put forth and the energy put forth on the defensive end, but sometimes when you're a little too energetic, it can lead to a bit of a cold spell on the offensive end. You have to maintain that consistency, that rhythm, and remain even keel on the offensive end in order to, like I said, maintain that rhythm.
Yeah, I think Dansville. What you want to go now? All right, when you've got a team as high energy as Dansville is, there's got to be a little bit of a gray area where you let them play. The first two games of last year, they were in serious foul trouble. They opened with Avon. I went down. It was here. I watched it, and they were in foul trouble. So you end up playing a lot of your backups in that game, including Drew Morrow, who's their best player, and he represented the Livingston County in the Section 5 Ronald McDonald game. And then we played him at home, and we did the same thing because, we had experienced players could handle that pressure, got by their guards, and we got Morrow and Gray in foul trouble, so you end up playing like their backups. Martin played quite a bit, but he's not as good as he was, not as polished as he is right now. And, having some talks with Coach Moody, I think that it was one of those things, like, you don't want to take away that aggressiveness, but you got to have a little fine line there.
So the official setting the ball down out of the timeout. That forces Dansville to hurry off the bench. 5 minutes remaining here in the third quarter. 8-point lead for the Mustangs. Gray attacking the basket. No good, but Canfield's there for the putback. Finally gets one to go inside to really reward himself for what's been a Herculean effort on the boards. I haven't been able to say that word lately.
Tell you, quarter's 3 minutes in. Dansville's got about 15 more shot attempts than Livonia, but they've only extended the lead by 2. So, Livonia's does a good job here, but they got to get something going to the hoop, some type of high percentage shot here, or else they're going to stick around in the 20s for way too long.
Fee into the basket, tried the reverse layup, no good. Canfield couldn't gain the handle on the rebound, and it goes out of bounds. It will stay with the Bulldogs.
Man, sometimes your best out-of-bounds play or your best scoring opportunities are your baseline out-of-bounds plays. So see what Livonia gets here. This is a good
Lobbed into Coyle, just out of his reach. Harris coming the other way and laying it in for Dansville, their largest lead of the game. They match it at 12 points. And great hustle there from Harris, saving it near the scorer's table. In the hands of Gray. Now Wadsworth trying to feed it inside to Canfield before that was knocked away. Nick Coyle going the other way and laying it in at the rim. Maybe a bit over-aggressive there from Dansville. Maybe a bit more patience would have behooved them on that last possession.
Yeah, they're better. They're a little better here. They're running their sets. Like I said, a lot of screens. You're not going to see – this is probably the team that sets the most screens in their half court. And you see that. It opens up on that.
What a pass inside. Wadsworth finds Canfield posting up on the block. I don't know how he snuck that one in there.
Well, you got a team setting really good screens, so you get some help and some hedging off of those.
Chris Coyle knocks down the three from the corner. Inches Livonia closer here, as they're now within 9 with 3:20 remaining in the third.
You talk about this. You cross screens, you get a lot of hedge. Sometimes you can slip those, and that's what happened. They actually slipped it right there and had Canfield, but good defense by Kearney.
Gray pulls up from.
Hey, you talk about this 7-point game here, and I feel like Dansville's kind of dominated this. Livonia's just the last minute had taken some good advantage of scoring opportunities. Kind of rushed there.
Coach Moody not happy with that shot selection.
Oh my!
It's how quickly it can change in basketball. The three-pointer in play as much as it is nowadays, and teams being as aggressive as they are, but Wadsworth doing a nice job stemming the tide with the finish off the Livonia turnover. Nick Coyle bounced past to Chris Coyle at the rim, and he's fouled by Canfield. Chris Coyle will head to the line for 2 shots. 2:03 remaining here in the third. Dansville clinging to that 9-point lead. And that's Canfield's third foul here in the third quarter.
Good job by Nick Coyle. He got to about the last spot you want to make that pass for the layup. You want to get too deep before you make it, but he drew him long enough to get Chris Coyle open there for the layup opportunity. Got to take advantage here. Stay on the line. You'd hate to see a free throw shooter. After he shoots it, you hate to see him back by the three-point line. Everything should be going forward on your free throws.
Coyle no good. And Dansville able to work it up quickly. Dixon to Canfield. Wadsworth got it all started. And the Mustangs back out in front by 11. Feehan pulling up for a deep three. All the way around the rim and out. And Feehan's contributions have been lacking here tonight. And credit Dansville's defense for slowing down the Bulldogs sharpshooter.
I tell you, I can feel Coach Young's ire all the way up here, and I'm probably 30 feet. He's going to take a timeout. Probably calmly talk to his guys about a little bit better effort of getting back on defense and, try to figure something out. They had this at 7. Now it's back up to 11. So this would be an interesting timeout.
Once again, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Empire Tractor. We're here to help you grow. 5072 East Main Street in Batavia, empiretractor.com. We'd also having some trouble with the ads tonight. We'll thank Vonglis in a moment, but we'd also like to thank Competitive Edge Basketball Spring Training sessions enrolling now. Dixon gets that one to roll in. It's back up to a 12-point Dansville lead. 2 for 2 for Reese Dixon. He's had another nice game here tonight.
Yeah, I love the energy he brings. Look at him out there, just getting him out of sync up front. Very long, very active. Nice pass.
No good. Good look for Livonia. Wadsworth coming the other way quickly. Inside to Canfield, but he traveled.
Kind of caught him a little bit surprised with that pass. That was a great pass, actually, from Wadsworth, but he's not quite in position to catch that and come to a jump stop or stop.
So 1:10 remaining here in the third. Chris Coyle pulls up from the elbow. No good. Canfield, another rebound. He's got to be closing in on 15, 20 rebounds at this point.
Yeah, it just seems like every trip we're mentioning his name. I mean, impressive performance out of him, no doubt.
Harris from the top of the key, and he knocks it down. Tyler Harris, big jumper for Dansville. And now it's up to a 15-point lead. So the Mustangs starting to assert themselves here in a key point in this game, the closing moments of the third. Feehan from the parking lot, no good. Canfield, a nice box out on Kearney to collect the rebound.
And you can see Dansville try to get the last shot. This didn't work for him in the second half, so sometimes when you just dribble it up there, it kind of defeats the purpose. This is a little better. You get more movement, keep them on their toes a little more.
Dixon down the lane. I believe he just lost that one. Now it's in the hands of Chris Coyle. 8 seconds remaining here in the third quarter. Coyle down the lane against Canfield. Up and under, no good. And the Mustangs hold a 15-point lead entering the fourth quarter. Once again, we'd like to thank our sponsors, beginning with Vonglis Enterprises, LLC. Vonglis Enterprises, LLC is a fully insured company that offers free estimates for every job. At Vonglis, They specialize in septic system installation and repairs along with water line installation. Check out Bonkless on Facebook or call them at 585-471-4240. So here we go, entering the fourth quarter of play, 15-point lead for Dansville. It's been quite the wire-to-wire effort for the Mustangs as Livonia endured some foul trouble in their early going. Dansville took advantage, and despite a brief surge for the Bulldogs there in the third quarter, Dansville regained its footing, and now they hold their largest lead of the game. Coyle into the lane, no good. And Kearney knocked it out of bounds off a Dansville player.
Coach Moody really wanted Dixon to stay on Coyle there. It looked like he was trying to help to a guy that was dead already. Yep.
Coyle in the lane, finishing off glass from his brother Nick Coyle. And that'll cut it to a 13-point deficit. Good start here in the fourth for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, it's a good recognition there of a little bit of a mismatch. Coyle kept it high, used his body, good body control and finish. Good effort play there, keeping this alive. You got a chance to get a couple of buckets here in one possession.
So 7:40 remaining here in the fourth. Here's Nick Coyle to initiate the possession. Chris Coyle doing a nice job breaking away from Dixon. Forced to get it away quickly. Does a nice job getting it back, launching the three and hitting. That's what good players do. They find a way to create their own shot.
Hey, five points, and the ball never left their the paint there for Livonia. So here, go into this 1-3-1, see if they can get anything going, maybe lead a little transition as well.
Down to a 10-point Dansville lead, 7:07 remaining here in the fourth. Bulldogs have hung around, and Tommy Stewart comes up with a big takeaway to continue Livonia's momentum. Nick Coyle left alone in the wing off glass. Nice awareness there from the young player, realizing that he was given room. He looked like he was trying to get it away, but instead took the shot and knocked it down.
Yeah, it's good composure by him there. I mean, see, Coach Moody's trying to get Canfield and Martin back in it as soon as possible. This 1-3-1, you don't see it too often, or you haven't practiced it a lot. It can be a little confusing and lead to turnovers and rush shots.
Harris amongst a number of Livonia defenders, but he draws the foul, heads to the line. Two shots coming up with Canfield and Martin set to check back in for the Mustangs here. You see two subs on the floor, one sub on the floor for Dansville. First time tonight that we've heard from Azan Sohail. So Harris at the line, two shots, looking to increase Dansville's 8-point lead with 6:28 remaining in the fourth. Unable to convert in the first, and here come the subs for the Mustangs.
Coach Young imploring the Bulldogs down there. Coach Young's now the longest tenured coach in Livingston County since I stepped down last year. Coach Moody, I believe, is the fourth, only sandwiching Coach Orman at York and Coach Freeze at Avon.
You guys are all getting old, and I'll join the club on that one.
Yeah, you got quite a ways to go to catch us.
So now a 9-point lead for Dansville. 6:15 remaining here in the fourth. Feehan from the wing, no good. Canfield on the rebound. So the Bulldogs have hung around, but they haven't been able to mount that sizable run to really work their way back into true contention.
That's good D.
Rejection by Coyle.
Yeah, I think Livonia's really got to run something through Chris Coyle, try to get maybe a double to free somebody like Feehan or the younger Coyle open for a jumper.
Wadsworth to Gray at the top of the key. Who knocks down the three? Colin Gray, the triple. And once again, Dansville in firm control, approaching the 5-minute mark here in the fourth quarter. Nick Coyle hanging off glass, no good. Canfield on the rebound. Dansville looking to salt this one away over the final 5.5 minutes.
It's a great block.
Another rejection from Coyle at the rim. Wound up at the hands of Dansville, and now a foul underneath called against the Mustangs. And the Dansville faithful, which has been very tame tonight, not in favor of that call.
Well, he had the best angle on that to see that. I mean, so I like this. They're running the offense through Chris Coyle. I mean, he's got to be involved at some point every trip down the floor. Doesn't mean he has to shoot it every time, but he's the guy that's going to draw some attention.
Kearney in the lane, no good. And here's Dansville now with 5 minutes remaining. And a timeout here, and we'll thank our sponsors once again. Beginning with Jessica Best, licensed real estate salesperson at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, offering a positive attitude and a professional realtor experience. Don't let her smile fool you. Also, Bubba's Landscape. Do you need landscaping services for your home or business? Count on Bubba's Landscape in Leroy, working on residential and commercial landscapes throughout Western New York. Also, R.A. Heights Company Incorporated, owned by Richard Wen, a family business established in 1945. At R.A. Heights, they specialize in residential and commercial roofing, metal roofing, gutter siding, windows, copperwork, and sheet metal fabrication. Also, Urgent Care Center in Geneseo. That's Noise Health Urgent Care Center. Open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. X-ray and lab services are available on site. Also, Genesee Community College. Genesee, your path. GCC offers 60-plus affordable academic programs and over 120 scholarships for you to begin your next journey. Apply for free at genesee.edu/apply or call 866-CALL-GCC today. So really a last chance for Livonia here down the stretch of this game. The final 5 minutes, they're trailing by 12. They need a stop, maybe a few stops in a row, and answer those stops with buckets if they hope to get back into this one. And that's not going to help Livonia's chances as Gray collects the loose ball, finishes at the rim, and it's up to a 14-point Mustangs advantage now. And a lot of contact near the volleyball line. You could hear that from here, but no call from the officials.
Hand is part of the ball, Alex, if it's touching it, so.
Chris Coyle for three, missed the rim. Reese Dixon on the rebound.
Probably going to see Dansville use some clock here, up 14. Time's on their side. Good defense. Jeez.
Gray in the lane and the left-handed finish. Midpoint of this fourth quarter, Dansville's largest lead of the game. They lead it by 16.
Good defense by Stewart, too. Not much you can do there.
And an offensive foul, Feehan throwing the forearm into the chest of Harris, who took the charge. That'll send it the other way. And momentum continues to build for the Mustangs. Wadsworth almost had that one taken away, able to get it back to Gray on the wing. Now inside to Martin. And Dansville can do no wrong. They now lead it by 18.
That's a good job by Gray. Great first step to rip through to draw the defender, and then smart enough to recognize where the help came from.
Another turnover committed by the Bulldogs. And Harris, another steal for Dansville. So it looked like the Bulldogs were going to put up a fight here in the second half. They cut it to 7 early on, but Dansville responded with a surge. And they've taken firm control and are just minutes away from a Livingston Conference vengeful victory here.
Yeah, I know I know Coach Moody's looking forward to their game Friday with Hornell, team they lost to down there, but played them tough. Gets another chance to avenge a loss in Division I. They play them here Friday, which is also an advantage for them. This gym, I'll tell you what, this is probably one of the more impressive small school gymnasiums that you're going to see. It's not my favorite because we lost my last game here last year, but it is just a tremendous facility, and some of the nicest people in Section 5 always seem to be working here too. So always good to do games here.
Yeah, they always set us up nicely here at Dansville, atop the bleachers, the desk, power source, Wi-Fi if we need it. Coach Moody, also the athletic director here at Dansville, so pulling double duty here tonight as his team holds a 19-point advantage with 2:30 to go here in the fourth. Nick Coyle into the lane, loses possession. Harris throws a little bit of an elbow into his chest. The official didn't see it. Draws the ire from the crowd. Wadsworth hanging near the lane, unable to convert. Chris Coyle on the rebound. And we're entering the final 2 minutes of play. Coyle finishes at the rim, and a timeout called by Livonia as they trail by 17 with 2:04 remaining in the fourth. Once again, we'd like to thank our sponsors. Beginning with Empire Tractor, your local New Holland dealer selling a full range of tractors and farm equipment. Also, Vonglis Enterprises, LLC, a fully insured company that offers free estimates for every job. At Vonglis, they specialize in septic system installation and repairs, along with waterline installation. Check them out on Facebook or call them at 585-471-4240. Also, Competitive Edge Spring Basketball Training registration is open now. CEB training sessions begin Wednesday, March 8th at Mount Morris Central School. So 2:10 remaining here. 17-point lead for Dansville as they look to salt this one away, while Livonia out of the timeout looks to make one last attempt at a desperation comeback.
First time in Livonia press there, I have to tell you, Coach Moody probably likes seeing that. Get a chance to practice some things that you just can't go against your backups with in practice. So good execution there to get the ball to Wadsworth, and then back to Gray and pretty much beat the press pretty easily.
Wadsworth, nice feed to Canfield, and he's fouled near the rim by Stewart. That's going to send Canfield to the line for two shots. 1:43 remaining here in the fourth, and here come the subs for Livonia. For the first time tonight, we'll see a number of these guys. Sean Abbott checking into the game, Owen Wetterings, also Gavin Woolston. Well, you also have Lucas Ray and Jackson Cook checking back in. Well, for Dansville for the first time tonight, you have Anthony Morrow, while Sohail will check back in, while Van Derm, Blackman, and Gardner also step back onto the floor, while Dixon waits at the table for Canfield, who can't convert the free throw. Kind of a cold move by the teammate. Your teammate's waiting to come in for you at the at the table, and you can't knock down the free throw to open the door for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's trying to pad his stats out there. He's only going to get a couple more possessions, but Dixon's played enough.
All right, not necessarily one of the reserves for this team. He does get his fair share of playing time. Van Derm Blackman has also seen the floor extensively at times this season, along with Gardner and Sohail.
I know, Dansville's looking at probably the 2 seed for them in sectionals here. Cornell's probably going to be the 1. Dansville lost in the semis to Wellsville last year. I watched that game on the stream, and Wellsville was winning at halftime. Is this another one of those things? The second half kind of let it get away. Going to get a shot clock there.
Yeah, that was a good game on the Batavia Daily News Sports Network, and We hope to have plenty of more sectional action for you this season, as both of these teams trying to work their way toward a title. Dansville, like you said, atop their classification, and Livonia trying to work their way as an underdog.
Yeah, Dunbar kid, I believe, for Wellsville is just a really good player for them. I know he did a lot of damage last year in that semifinal game.
3 ball! Knocked down by Livonia's Sean Abbott. Beautiful stroke there and found nothing but net.
Hey, it makes it look easy coming off the bench and stroking it and hitting nothing but the bottom of the net on that. It's like to see those guys at, oh!
And Morrow returns the favor on the other end. Something about that number 23 on the basketball floor, Coach.
Yeah, you got to be able to make shots with that on.
And what a moment for both of these young men who don't see the floor all that often. At the end of a blowout, both of them finding the bottom of the net. That's going to do it. Here at Dansville High School, Alex Brasky, Dan Dickens, and Mia Laughlin with you. We didn't hear from Mia tonight, but she did a great job as always, and we look forward to her continued assistance as we've had all season long. So thank you for joining us. Join us tomorrow. Batavia taking on Greece Athena at Greece Athena. We'll